Hello, everyone. As we head into the winter in the UK, as we're rapidly approaching the winter, maybe we're already there. Um, Something that's going to come up a lot is people are going to talk about the fruit quality in the winter, and many people are going to talk about how they can't do a raw food diet in the winter in the UK, and the I guess the contrary idea is that if they were in somewhere where it was warm, they would easily and automatically do a raw food diet. Now, why people are so bothered about, you know, proclaiming that they're doing a raw food diet or not, whatever, it really should be a personal thing for you. You don't have to impress anyone else. I'm certainly not going to make you not a friend or whatever if you do a raw food diet or not. But if you're not being honest with yourself, I don't respect that. So I don't mind people that don't want to do a raw food diet if they're honest about it. But when people say things that I feel like they're making an excuse for themselves, I can't fully go along with it. I can't fully agree with them. So I'm always bamboozled. As someone who's been in the UK doing a raw food diet about 8 or 9 years, and most of that time spent the winter here, I don't see this big issue of fruit quality being that much worse in the winter or that much different or making it impossible to do a raw vegan diet or anything else like that. It's also the idea that the fruit isn't grown locally. We don't really have a lot of local fruit grown in the UK in proportion to the amount that we import anyway. Um, I would imagine we import the vast majority of our fruit even in the summertime. We do have berries, apples, a lot of more vegetables we grow, but the vast majority of the fruits, especially the things that a raw vegan might eat, bananas and things like that, obviously are not coming from this country. I say obviously, only it's not actually that obvious. We could grow bananas, we just don't want to. We just don't have an industry for that. It's cheaper to import them from abroad than to have huge greenhouses growing bananas. But we could grow our own bananas if we wanted to. Now, what I'm getting to really is that it's an excuse that people use. That it's cold outside, therefore I can't do a raw food diet inside, and that changes everything. Now, if that was the case, then in the summertime we would see people eating more raw food, and we don't really see that. If you went to other countries where it's warmer, we'd see people more on a raw food diet, and we don't see that because that's not the reason that people don't eat raw food. And that's not the reason that people eat cooked food. It's not because of the heat or the warmth of the food. And a lot of people may think that, oh, I'm craving something warm. I'm craving something hot. Well, why don't you take orange juice and heat it up? Why don't you take your banana smoothie and leave it in the blender longer? It'll get hot. It'll get warmer. Why don't you make a soup out of tomatoes and celery and blend that in your blender until it's warm? And I've been around people that have been saying this thing like, I want something warm, and I'll suggest these things, and they're like, no, I don't want that. So it's not really that they want something warm. It's not that you want something warm. What you want is cooked food. What you want is maybe the salt or the stimulation in cooked food. These foods are addictive. They give a much higher dopamine hit, if you want to put it in those terms, to your brain than raw food does. And that's why you want to eat those foods over raw food. Potentially, it's partly the fact that it is more calorically dense, therefore, your brain triggers a bigger reward for it. But really, it's just a more addictive, stimulating food. And that is the reason you want to eat it. It is never anything to do with how cold it is outside. It's never anything to do with that. And if you go into a bar in the middle of winter, people do not ask for warm beer. They don't ask for a warm glass of wine. They don't heat up their packets of crisps. They don't heat up their sandwiches necessarily. They'll still have cheese sandwich, ham sandwich, often. So it's not really about the heat. It's never about the heat, really. So that's the way I've come to realize it. And when you're on this raw food journey, you have to become more and more honest with yourself, where you ask yourself, am I really wanting the warm food because I could go and warm up a banana smoothie? I could go and warm up, when I was growing up, we would come out out the cold. Sometimes my mum would make Ribena, which is a diluting, like a concentrate diluting juice thing, and she would add warm water to it. It was brilliant. Coming out of the cold and you have this warm Ribena. Really nice, actually. But that's not what you're looking for. That's not what and that's what I realized. And I sat and I thought, why is it I want to eat this thing? And I thought it over and I'm like, it's not because of the heat. When I was still consuming more salt, it was probably the salt as well. Because I see sometimes people have like soup or something from a can, and I say, well, you could make a raw soup very easily, very delicious raw soup, but the can thing has salt and everything, maybe has sugar in it as well. So firstly, it's not about the heat. So that's one thing. But what about the quality of the fruit? If you go on raw food forums, you'll always see people who want to get support for their idea that you can't do a raw food diet in X country in the winter. It's impossible to do this in the winter. They really want that because they want to be supported in their choice of eating cooked food. They want to feel some sense of, no one's really doing this. Everyone's eating cooked food in the winter. Let me tell you another thing. It is not easy to transition on and off raw food all the time. Oh, I'm going to be 100% raw, then I'm going to go back to cooked in the winter, then I'm going back to 100% raw. This isn't what people do. This isn't what happens, ever. People that stay raw are always raw. And they don't go off of raw because it's a cold day and then go back to raw food the next. That isn't what long-term raw vegans do. So you got to stop giving yourself these excuses. You got to be super honest with yourself. If you're a person that has a history of this is my theory, it's maybe not real, but if you have a history of you lie to people easily, it's not a big deal to you to lie, then why wouldn't you lie to yourself about this? Maybe there's something to that. Maybe people that aren't honest with others aren't honest with themselves. I don't know. But you got to develop being really honest with yourself at least to do this, because you're going to come up with every excuse to not do it. It's one of the most difficult, challenging changes of your life, but one of the biggest rewarding things for your health to get onto this raw food path. So, it's so important, I think. Such an important thing. So what are we talking about anyway? The quality of the food in the winter. And so I was in a forum having a little bit of a debate with someone. Oh, in Greece, the food's so good in Greece. It's so brilliant. But when I'm here, I can't do this. The fruit's just no good quality and has no flavours. None of it's any good. Immediately when someone says that, 100% of the time, they are still eating cooked food. 1000, million, billion% of the time. They're looking for a justification for what they're doing. That fruit and vegetable doesn't have any flavour. It doesn't have any flavour because you're eating pizza and other things. And a lot of people don't want to admit to that. Every time that you see someone online in this raw vegan community that says, I'm eating mostly raw, and every now and again I have some cooked food once in a while, everyone wants to pretend they're so in control of it. This is a big control issue. Food is a big control issue for people. Especially maybe people that feel like their life's a bit out of control. Maybe that's why it is. But or they feel they're not in control of the world around them or whatever. But food can be an area you can control, and this is where problems arise for people. But I'm telling you, these people, 100% of the time, are eating cooked food every day. Not once in a while. Not every now and again when I feel like it. They're either eating cooked food every day, or they're in a transitional period, which means they're not on a sustainable diet yet. If you're transitioning to raw, you'll have days where you're raw, and then some days you fall off, and then you go back, because you're making this progression. But you've not hit any kind of sustainable diet yet that you're going to stick to. And you're more likely to go back, when you're going on and off, you're more likely to go back to eating cooked food all the time. Every day. Every single day. I eat a bit of steamed veggies now and again. It usually means cooked food every day. Now, are there some people that maybe do that once in a while? I don't think there's that many. And your chances of being able to do that are very low. Because when I speak to people that are raw vegan, and this is only for people that want to do 100% raw diet, you never hear people talking about that. The people that I know that do 100% raw diet, they're not, I want now and again I have steamed veggies. No, they don't. Right? Because it's never a now and again. The people that stay 100% raw don't do any of that stuff. They don't do steamed veggies now and again. Because why would you eat steamed veggies? You can just have a salad. So what's the appeal of steamed veggies? Some people even do this thing of freezing vegetables and unfreezing them and dehydrating them and, still raw sort of or whatever. Yeah, you can do that as well if you want. There's what do you call it? Not dehydrated vegetables. Freeze-dried vegetables. You can buy freeze-dried things. Probably not technically raw, but that's something. But there's different things you can do if you want to try and replicate more of a cooked flavour or texture. But why would I go and steam some broccoli? Like what? Why? What, when I can have a salad if I want vegetables? So I don't understand that. So these are just my thoughts, beliefs. I'm trying to give you my side of the story from what I've seen, people I've met, people I've been with in person around, and how I see over the years. I start off, as everyone does maybe, with a very positive, open-minded approach. And when someone says, I eat cooked food once in a while, I'm like, that's what they do. And then I hang around these people and I'm around them and I see them more and I realize that's not what they do. It's not what they do. And I wanted to believe that you could have cooked food now and again. I tried it so many times. I'll just have something now and again. No, because you're not in control. It's addictive food. And it is addictive. So anyway. But the food quality is fine. And the fruit quality in the UK, I can't tell you the amount of times if I was in Thailand or sometime or place like that where I would prefer to be in the UK. Now, some people will say, well, the pineapples are yellow and they're sweet. That's, to some extent, that's true. Like the idea that these countries have like perfect, amazing fruit all the time. Um, when I was in Koh Phangan, Thailand for 4 months, and I lived on mangoes, so that's different. But if you went to the stall, you had a selection of mangoes, bananas, papayas, um, sometimes durian, sometimes jackfruit, sometimes chempedak at certain stalls, mangosteen, and a few of the like European fruits or subtropical fruits like grapes sometimes and apples and things like that. But it wasn't like some kind of vast cornucopia. Like the most the fruit market I've ever been to with the most variety was in Austria when I was in Vienna, and I went to this place. It was very expensive actually, but it had so much variety of fruit. It was unbelievable. So much variety. You will get more variety in European, American countries than you will get in Thailand. If you really like the tropical fruits, durian and things like that, then you probably have to go there for that, Malaysia and all that stuff. But, I'm totally happy here. Every raw vegan I've met that lives in the UK and actually does this diet, they're not complaining about the fruit quality. They're not going, oh, it's winter, I need to go and change my diet. No, because a lot of the same things are still there. And there's some great things that happen. Persimmons, there's more citrus. The pineapples are really good right now. You get different varieties of grapes coming into season. More and more, actually, we have fruits from South Africa, fruits from South America that are good at this time of year. The stone fruit is getting better and better in the winter. Not that you necessarily want to live on stone fruit or whatever in the winter. Well, I'm only saying that for the price. You living on stone fruit may be kind of expensive, but there's still plenty of stuff. There's plenty of salad vegetables. There's plenty of that kind of stuff. So there's plenty of variety. And you don't need this massive amount of variety. Once you get kind of consistent on your raw diet, you're not really looking to eat a different fruit all the time. Like, oh, I need to have a fruit salad with 6 fruits. No one's doing that. So my diet consists a lot of the time of maybe 5 or 6 or 7 fruits for most of the year. And I'm totally happy with that. I'm not, every day I enjoy them. Every day I enjoy them. I never go, oh my God, more grapes. I never get bored of grapes. Like, I never get bored of persimmons and stuff like that. So the fruit quality, you need to get this out of your head that the fruit quality is bad. You need to get better at picking fruit. You certainly need to get better at picking fruit. And if you were in the supermarket with me, you'd probably realise that I'd get frustrated with you because I'd be like, why are you even looking at any of this stuff? None of that's going to be good. Like, I know I know like a sixth sense almost. And I'm sure most people do. They just haven't quite opened up to it yet. But I look at things, I'm like, no good, not even, I don't even look at it. It's not even in my field of vision. I'm not even looking at that stuff. I never buy apricots. Like, why would you ever buy apricots from the supermarket? They're never going to be good. Ever. Maybe someday, but they're never. You buy as many apricots as you like, they're always going to be dry and like whatever. They're not good. Figs in the UK, for me, usually are kind of tasteless most of the time. I never really look at the figs. At certain times of the year, I look at melons and they just do not appeal to me at all. They just do not look right. But these snowball melons that are around right now are like the best melons you can ever eat. And the people are complaining to me about fruit quality. We might even get some Triumph persimmons arriving some point soon that are the best persimmons that you've ever had. And you'll find them in Tesco or Sainsbury's or whatever, Morrison's. And they're the best. Unbelievable persimmons. Triumph. Incredible. The flame grapes are my favourite grapes. They are usually around at some point in winter. Red Globe flame grapes. And if you go to the slightly more exotic places, you're going to find cherimoyas, like maybe one of the best fruits that there is in the world. Um, and they come around in winter time. Okay, they're not very common. Maybe you need to search them out, but they are unbelievable. So you need to start looking at fruit like that. You want to be around people that talk about fruit in those terms, and not the people that are saying, yeah, the fruit's not good at this time of year. I need to go back to Thailand to get that high quality fruit. Like, these people don't know what they're talking about. Everyone in Thailand's eating cooked food, by the way. Everyone. Not just the Thai people, all the raw vegan people are eating cooked food. I was in Thailand. There was maybe one other raw food person there in Koh Phangan. And not that you should be raw vegan or whatever. Not that, but the people that were in the raw groups, the people that were connected to the Koh Phangan Fruit Festival, all that stuff, they weren't eating a raw food diet. I don't even know if they were vegan. There's a bunch of people that are no longer vegan that are over in Thailand and stuff like that. Silly stuff. But that's what I want to say for today, Thank you for watching. Get positive about this. When I'm around Dr. Doug Graham, what I loved about, or what I really learned from him, he would talk about fruit like it was just unbelievable. He'd be like, this is the most astonishing nectarine I've ever, like, he would be so positive about it. He would be like, every time you meet Doug or see Doug, he's always saying like, he'll talk about some tomato or some cucumber or some, like, sometimes it's vegetables, and he'll talk about how it was like the best thing he'd ever eaten, or it was the most amazing thing. Like, he's always talking about fruit in this way because he's a raw vegan. So he's not comparing it to pizza or something like that. Although he does make a good raw vegan pizza apparently. So anyway, thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe and share, and leave some comments below.